Hello, good evening. My name's Alex Mershak. I'm an AI engineer and a podcaster, and I've been experimenting lately with Model Context Protocol. I've instituted a few servers, both for work as well as personal use, and I spearheaded an MCP initiative at my last company. I thought that as a podcaster, I'd go ahead and try my hand at applying it in that domain. And luckily for me, my podcast host Podbean actually has an API available. And I checked the MCP server registry, and I didn't see any Podbean server on there. So I thought I'd go ahead and create one for myself and show you a little bit about what possibilities, what capabilities are possible with Model Context Protocol. Because it's kind of a big deal. It basically will allow large language models to talk to any kind of application, whether that's web apps, SaaS apps, databases, even file systems, can now talk to LLMs in a standardized way with their structured data through MCP. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty revolutionary. But I think right now we're still in this space where figuring out what makes sense is not totally clear to people. And so part of getting through this phase and getting to the phase where we can actually start monetizing these things and using Model Context Protocol to really change our lives in terms of products and services that are available, it's going to require a lot of experimentation. And so this is a little experiment that I ran. So to get started, before we get into the server itself, I just want to show you the Podbean API. The Podbean API is kind of ideal for demonstrating MCP and building out a little server like this because it's a very small API. You can do things like get information about your podcast. You can, get metadata, get usage statistics. You can also update, publish, delete, read episodes. But overall, the API is really just one page of documentation, pretty short, pretty brief. And so you can build out a pretty comprehensive MCP server with it pretty quickly, which makes it great for this use case. All right, so let's get into the actual goods of this issue. Let's get into the juicy parts. So I built out this server with some tools and some resources. For those of you who are familiar a little bit with MCPs and how they work, you know what that means. That can basically just allow you to get some information about your own interviews, podcasts that is, and begin to assess them on your own. And I can imagine that over time, creators and podcasters will be able to use this kind of interface to get some rich data about their show. But I just want to show you briefly what it looks like when this is in action. So it's collecting details here. You can see that it's calling information. It's getting information about the show. And here it is summarizing it. So my show is called Hacking State. And it's a show about how technology changes our relationship to power in each other. See, it's got all this metadata, the categories, even the URLs. It's even got recent episodes here. So that's pretty cool. The next thing I want to show you is where you can start getting really interesting statistics and other kinds of data. So you can imagine that if you built this out for a different kind of API, you could start to really get some interesting usage. And most podcast hosting providers have pretty limited dashboards in terms of the data that you could provide. And if you're willing to pay more, you can visualize more data and you get more in-depth analytics. But what's interesting about this is that, they're going to charge you for that. But a lot of that information is actually available through the API, and you could configure it and build out your own dashboards and your own analytics pretty easily if you could just access them through something like MCP, and you can even do that on the fly. So for example, if I ask, what are the daily listener accounts for April of last year? Looks like there's some kind of bug there. Maybe that'll get fixed. You can see here that now we've got this beautiful chart where it's listing these daily listener counts. Now, these counts are pretty small because my show isn't very big. And obviously, this is a year ago, so we weren't that far in. But it's pretty cool. You could see already that if you wanted to create your own custom dashboards or just do some very quick analytic queries on this, you could spin it up real quick. And the last thing, so let's go ahead and get some more information about our recent episodes. Now, you can edit, download, and even post episodes through MCP. The only caveat here is that the way that I built out this server, it's not yet able to do episode uploads. And that's because doing an episode upload means that we actually have to push a file up to Podbean. And so I'd have to use some sort of advanced capabilities of the Model Context Protocol or maybe even get a different kind of MCP server that interfaces with my file system. There's some security issues around that in order to get that done. But I did experiment, and you can go ahead and post a draft with no audio file up. And so if you wanted to draft all the descriptions and all the tags and the title and everything else, you could actually do that through this. And the interesting thing about it is that from there, you could actually just straight up talk to Claude, get the information that you wanted, fine-tuned and honed for the episode that you're going to post, and then go ahead and make the whole draft all through MCP. And that's pretty cool. So it's getting information back about my recent episodes here. It's not going to go through all of them, but it's giving me some interesting insights about when they were posted and when people are listening. And the last thing I'm going to do is ask it a little bit about listener engagement. So you can see here that by plugging this into the LLM, you can actually get it to start to reason about the information that's encoded, which is pretty cool, because the only other information that it'd be able to rely on outside of this is by doing a web search. And, not all the information that you need that's the most relevant is going to be scrapable on the open web. And so with this implementation, you can actually use Claude or any other MCP client to begin analyzing your own data. And I just think it's so cool. So I want to give this a second to go ahead and get back to us with this final query. And then I'm going to flip over and show you the server that I built. So it's doing more calls. It's getting the information for March. Remember, we want to see what day of the week has the highest listener engagement. So it's going to go ahead and go through all of this information, and we got more code. It's experimenting with different time ranges, so maybe there's some limits in terms of the amount of data that I can get back. But you can imagine as context windows get bigger and as APIs begin to develop to accommodate MCP, which was also a trend that will inevitably happen, that this stuff is going to get more and more interesting. So there we go, day-to-day downloads. All right, so I've shown you a little bit about the capabilities of this. Let's go ahead and switch back to the server itself. So this is a server that I built, and obviously there's some interesting features. So we literally just took all the endpoints that are available from the Podbean API and turned those into tools and resources. So you can get a list of your podcasts, you can get stats and analytics. I showed you a little bit of that. It handles auth for you, authorization. It allows you to publish new episodes. We didn't go into that, but that's something that is a capability. This file management thing, again, is not really there yet, but it's something that we could build out, and I could definitely add to this if I wanted to enhance this, or if I wanted to combine this with other kinds of MCP capabilities. And of course, you can also do a little bit of public access for this. So there's instructions here on how to get started, how to download the repo, how to run the server, and an outline here of all the different tools that are available and different resources, and even a few prompts. So some examples about how to interact with the client, et cetera, et cetera. So this has been my overview of my Podbean MCP server. Please let me know if you have any questions or ideas on what to add or how this could be useful to you or other content creators. And thank you for watching.